Hello and welcome to another episode of Cricket Hedgehogs. So we are random cricket fans who like to yap about cricket on the internet. So this is the perfect time to yap about cricket. We are almost reaching the end of the group stage of IPL 2024. So we are going to do a group stage analysis. Let's take a look at each and every team and see how well they did this season and what they have to look forward in the next season. I have Dinuka with me today. Hi.
Hi. Hello.
Yes. So let me remind you again, you might have a lot of channels on YouTube and on the internet and on sports channels where experts come and talk. We are not experts, we are not former cricketers.
You are on the mainstream media.
Yeah, of course, we are random cricket fans who's just like you. So this is basically like two guys like you all who are watching this video right now is deciding to, what we normally talk, we decided to record and upload to YouTube, right? That's what we do on our channel. Right. So this IPL season, let's take the points table and let's start from the bottom. Of course, if you look at the bottom, you will find one of those most popular names in IPL. 5 times champions, one of the best teams, right? Us being from Sri Lanka, surprisingly,
Yes.
this is one of the most popular teams in Sri Lanka. It's
Exactly.
because, Mumbai Indians
Maybe
started
the
off with
second, third popular.
right? So basically, it's because we had Malinga playing for them for a long time, and Jayasuriya played in the first few seasons. So most of us, we started watching IPL by being Mumbai Indians fans, right? And it's quite heartbreaking to see them ending up at the bottom of the points table. Like you look at their squad, right? You see Rohit Sharma, Bumrah, Ishan Kishan, right? Tim David, right? With these kind of players, you're surprised, you're shocked. And with Hardik Pandya coming in,
Exactly.
In the very first season, he was captaining Gujarat Titans, took them to a title.
Yeah.
And it's shocking to see Mumbai Indians why they've ended up this bad. Like as a fan, what I feel like is that first of all, there's a lot of controversy behind Hardik coming and being the captain, and booing going on in they were making headlines, right?
The trolls and all these things.
Of course, the internet was like taking a nap that day. So basically, I feel like it's because they have a really good squad, but they weren't really clicking well with each other, right? So they axed Rohit from captaincy because he failed in a couple of seasons, and not sure whether Rohit will play for Mumbai again. Not sure whether Hardik will be the captain again. So, Dinuka, what do you think about Mumbai's season?
I think Mumbai, for me, it's like, why is Mumbai here?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe where it went wrong. I mean, you can blame it on the captain, or you can blame it on that's saying that look, team chemistry is not there, whatever, right? But at the end of the day, if you have star players, right? Because there are other teams in the franchise without star players performing way better, right? And also you have teams again with star players performing bad, right? Yeah. And Mumbai is one of them. But again, it's very, very frustrating and very surprising. Team which won twice consecutively, and then again who is not in the, who's like at the bottom, and just another two like we said, another 2 matches more and their season is over. And it's another season where Mumbai will be questioned, because I felt like Mumbai will come into play at one point, especially with that 2 consecutive wins against DC and RCB. But again, Mumbai did fall apart, and I don't think it's just exactly Hardik Pandya to blame, right? Because at the end of the day, cricket is not a one man's game, right? I mean, one man can carry the team, that's true. But I think the whole team should think about why is it happening like this. Maybe a reshuffle could come next year. Who knows, right?
Because the mega auction is coming.
Exactly.
Right? So they'll have some thinking to do. You look at their squad, they have Surya Kumar Yadav, right? Tim David, Pandya, Mohammad Nabi, Ishan Kishan, Bumrah, Kotsie, right? Even we had 2 Sri Lankans, right? Dilshan Madhusanka and Nuwan Tushara. So these guys are T20 specialists. A T20 team can't get more T20 than this. Especially this being such a batsman, batting dominated tournament. You would expect people like Surya, Rohit, Ishan Kishan to win the at least be in the middle of the points table, not the bottom.
Yeah, of course.
Right. So it was actually quite shocking, and I think Mumbai has a lot of thinking to do. more like, just dismantle the entire team and start new.
Yeah,
Perhaps,
true. So that's
right?
that's something I'm also thinking maybe
Yes.
they could do that, right? Since having this much of all-rounders and players still not performing well, maybe, who knows?
Exactly. So speaking of bottom in the points table, right? We just talked about Mumbai not really belonging in the bottom of the points table, but we have another team, no offense to the fans, right? But a team that we are used to seeing in the bottom
Very
of the points
frequently.
table, very frequently, right? Punjab Kings, right? Who used to be known as Kings 11 Punjab, right? And they changed their name into Punjab Kings. Nothing much changed. Like, they've still been performing the same way. I recently saw a post, right? So for the last 14 years of IPL,
right.
this is season number 14, right?
Right.
In the first season, they made it to semi-finals,
Yeah.
right? Because
Back when Adam Gilchrist used to play,
no,
right?
this was when Sangha and Mahela played, right?
Right. Yeah.
So at that time, they used to open with Sean Marsh,
True.
right? So that season, they made it to semi-final. Very first season, they lost the semi-final to Chennai. And then in 2014, David Miller, I think it was David Miller, and Maxwell, right? They had that IPL first half in UAE.
Right, yeah.
And they played like, I remember Maxwell hitting sixers to Ashwin and Jadeja back to back, right? And they made it to the final, but runners up, they lost the final to KKR.
Yes. Yeah.
Those two are the only two instances where they've made it to the knockout stage. Just twice, right? Now, as a Delhi fan, I always say this, right? The reason Delhi isn't the worst team in the history of IPL is because Punjab exists, right? So Delhi also used to have a really bad run like that, but they changed their name. Delhi Daredevils became Delhi Capitals, and they've been doing reasonably well after that, right? But Punjab, I don't know, like, at least I can see Delhi trying things. They try hiring, like recruiting new players, and like they put the effort, recruiting new coaches, trying new strategies to get out of it, like, at least do better. To be honest, I don't see Punjab even try to do better. They are not even affected by, like,
I think Punjab is that team which every, not just cricket but every franchise has, who doesn't do enough to come to the top level, but who doesn't do very bad to stay
Yes.
at the relegation zone or something like
do
that.
you have like a reference in football? Is there a club like that?
Something like that.
What is the Punjab like club in football?
I don't want to say.
You don't want to offend too many fans. You've already offended Punjab fans here. let's not open another can of worms. Right, okay. So, but of course, you guys can comment what you think, right?
You can comment.
Yeah, what football club is like Punjab. And what do you think what Punjab should do, right? I think they also, just like Mumbai, should like maybe dismantle the entire team, because like, they don't seem to have a good team. Like,
But does Punjab have the resources to do that? Because I think Punjab is like a team which doesn't, like you said, doesn't put much resources into the team,
Exactly.
right? And they're totally fine with it. So,
but you see, they also have like Livingston, Sam Curran, Chris Wokes, Bairstow, Rabada, right? Harshal Patel, Shikhar Dhawan, these Riley Russo, right? These guys play well when they play for other franchises, right? Why do they perform so badly when they come to like, Punjab, and they just 5 wins this time. They still have one more game to go though. Like,
yes, yeah.
By the way, right, as we speak, the RCB is playing CSK.
Yeah.
We have 2 more games to go. So I think Punjab also needs to figure a way out. They haven't been that keen on figuring a way out. Don't know how long Punjab is going to remain at the bottom half. Right. Then moving on to a new franchise, Gujarat Titans. Now, Gujarat had such a promising start when they were first introduced. You see, one thing about IPL is that when a new team comes,
the hype
new
behind
franchise
that
comes,
team,
right? They hype it so much, but it's very difficult to address to the fans, right? Because you see, the original IPL teams have fans who've been loyal to them since the first season.
Mumbai
RCB,
Indians,
Mumbai,
CK.
Chennai, all these teams, right? So all the IPL fans, they've picked their team. Of course, in IPL, you don't necessarily support someone just because they are from your city. Just because you are from Chennai, you don't support Chennai. There are people who do that.
Yeah.
But, one thing I asked when I first visited India for my first debating tournament, right? I asked like, okay, so I went to Bangalore, right? I was like, are you supporting RCB because you're from Bangalore? He was like, no, not really. We just pick our favorite team and we just support, right? So all the people, all the fans have picked a team, and when there are two new teams coming, there are no neutral fans to endorse those two teams, right? Unless that there are Gujarat people, Lucknow people, because it's their home team, like, you know. So, but Gujarat did such a great job, especially like, you know, getting a fan base, plus doing so well and winning the very first season they had under
Also,
Hardik Pandya's
I think,
captaincy.
Gujarat did this thing where they they put in and bought in very new players, youngsters in their first season, something that I saw and which worked out for them.
Yeah. So basically, and they got like they got those impact players, David Miller, Rashid Khan, Hardik Pandya himself, right, and Shubman Gill on top. So even this time, like they have a pretty strong, solid team because Miller is still there, Gill is there, Rashid Khan, Omar Zai, Matthew Wade, Josh Little, Mohit Sharma, Umesh Yadav, right? So these guys are,
even Noor Ahmed.
yeah, so they are like impact players, right? These guys are impact players. So it's surprising why they fared so bad. Now, I mean, like, to be honest, Gujarat should be ranked below Punjab, right? They had
Because
like two rain affected games that they got like 2 points, which were like, and look at the net run rate, it's minus 1.063. And I remember they lost to Delhi one time. They got bowled out for like 80 odd runs. Delhi chased it down in 9 overs. So how can a team fail this bad? Mind you, this is a batter friendly tournament.
Exactly.
Right? And you're getting bowled out for 80 runs. And I think it's because they lost Hardik. They have like a gap in the middle order that they can't fill. So I think in the next season, what they have to do is just finding someone for the middle order. I think that's where they lack. And I think the captaincy is a little bit too much pressure on
for Gill as well.
Yes.
Because
he's too young to handle the captaincy.
When he was playing for the Indian team, he didn't have that captaincy role because captaincy does impact a person in a very, for some people it happens in a good way and for some it's in a bad way, right? We have much examples. So I think, like you said, maybe for Gill it was like a sudden choice, pick up the captaincy and play something like that, right? But I think maybe that's also a good point. They could have given the captaincy to someone better. Example, I think Miller would have been a better captain.
Yes. He has captained the South African side also. Right. Then from Gujarat, just like Gujarat, we need to talk about Lucknow as well, like Lucknow Super Giants. So they had a mixed season, but you see this points table is very deceiving. Right, Lucknow looks like they had a mixed season because they have 7 wins and 7 losses. But to be honest, it was a bad season for them. Right, it was a bad season for them because they didn't really step up as a team. Like whatever the wins they got, like they got them from like individual performances. Like most notably Stoinis. Stoinis won them a couple of games. Right,
it's a very mixed. Even looking at their results, it's like very mixed. Not like something where you have like.
Yeah, you lost by 20 runs, won by 20 runs, lost by 8 wickets, won by 8 wickets. So
the maximum winning streak they've had was like 3 wins in a row.
Yes.
But again, they have like 4 losses in a row as well.
Yeah, so like 3 wins max in a row, 3 losses in a row.
So it's very mixed.
Yes.
And they're in a mixed
So consistency is the problem to them, it seems clearly. And but again, looking at their squad, do you feel like there's something wrong with KL Rahul's captaincy?
Again, I think it's something maybe which affects the captaincy and his role as a player, regardless of the captaincy. Maybe something like that, because otherwise, again, we have a good captaincy approach with even having Quinton de Kock as the captain, right? De Kock has been the.
So they have a good team.
Exactly, they have a very good team. Example like Quinton de Kock, Purian. These are players who can hit the ball and who are.
Purian had a really good season.
Exactly. So these are people who can hit the ball. So even bowling, for example, they have Shamar Joseph, who started performing very well for the West Indies side, and you don't see something wrong from their side. It's a very good balanced side with good power hitters, but Yeah, sadly they had a very mixed season.
So I guess they don't necessarily have to look for new players, more like how to utilize the players you
Yeah,
already
yeah.
have, right? I mean, you have Quinton de Kock on top. That's the best start you can ask for, right? Okay, so let's talk about my favorite team, Delhi,
Delhi.
right? Now,
Lifelong Delhi supporter.
I've been a fan of Delhi since 2008. Ever since they started IPL, in the very first season, there were two Sri Lankans, like Dilshan and Maharuf played. And since then, they haven't been Sri Lankan players for a while. Mahela played in
Mahela
like
played,
2013, 14, and since then, no Sri Lankan players. But I've still, been a loyal supporter.
He's a diehard Delhi fan.
Diehard Delhi fan,
Diehard.
right? So, I mean, of course, like if there are any other Delhi fans out there, you know the pain. As I told you, like luckily we are not the worst team because Punjab is there, right? So, we played the final once. We played the the playoffs a few times, 4-5 times. But of course, it's quite difficult. And I think again, just like Lucknow, Dinuka, I think this points table is very deceiving because Delhi is placed in the middle. It looks like they almost missed the playoffs.
Yeah.
But to be honest, that's not the case because in the beginning they were at the bottom. And the reason that Delhi is ranked so high is mainly because of one name, Jake Fraser-McGurk. He's this young Australian who came out of nowhere, and he came because David Warner was injured, right? And his power hitting, he's surprisingly shockingly, the strike rate is 230 something.
The 21-year-old.
Yes, right? So basically this guy's magic is the one that brought Delhi back into the game. So in the midpoint, they were sort of considering playoffs, right? But of course, I'm telling this as a Delhi fan, they didn't deserve the playoffs, to be honest. It was basically McGurk, and they had a couple of good bowling spells, like the Indian bowlers bowled well. They have a lot of things to figure out. They often used to get bad decisions, mostly bad decisions, team selection and all of those things. But I think Delhi also has a good team, but they have to figure certain things out. Like people like David Warner, Mitch Marsh haven't really fired for them.
They have Yadav as well, right? I think it's a very, very, very not the best team, but I would say a very mixed, balanced out team, but not enough performance coming
so
from
now that they have McGurk, they'll retain him for the next season.
Probably.
And Rishabh Pant will stay most probably because they've been investing him as a captain for a long time now. And then you have Akshar Patel. He's a good all-rounder.
Yes.
And this is young kid called Rasik, and he's been playing really well, coming as an impact sub. Right. We had to talk about impact sub. Let's stop it for another day.
There'll be another video covering all these.
All these the batter friendliness and the high scoring and impact.
It's going to be a bit controversial. Maybe we'll...
Yeah, of course. We'll leave that for another day. Alright, so then we are moving into the qualified territory, right? Actually, we need to talk about 4th and 5th together, right? Yeah. RCB and CSK. We just finished watching that match. We actually stopped the recording just to watch the final few hours of the match. And it was totally worth it. You don't want to miss a match like that watching live. It's going to be one of the most memorable matches, and it's going to be one of the most memorable comebacks, not just in IPL, I think in entire cricket history.
Franchises, yeah.
So let's talk about RCB first. I mean, they are one of the most trolled fan bases in the entire world. And
one of the most strongest as well, right?
Their fans are so loyal. Just like Virat Kohli, who has been playing for RCB 14 years, their fans have been having their back for 14 years. And again, Delhi and Punjab being two really, really bad teams, they are not getting trolled because all the haters are focusing on RCB, they're roasting them all the time. Right? And it's when you look at the RCB team, we were talking about looking at the squads and being surprised at why Mumbai is at the bottom of the table. Like that, you look at RCB. And the history of people who played for RCB, like Gale, Watson, De Villiers,
Dilshan, Kohli.
Right? So you look at that and you wonder how come they don't have a trophy. Right? It makes no sense. So, and this time it's it's really a fairy tale. How they, if you look at their streak, right? They lost 7 out of 8.
Yeah.
Right? At that time nobody would give them any chance whatsoever.
Come into the playoffs, yeah.
Everyone would expect RCB to be like, every team would be like, okay, this is where we get our 2 points. Because normally that's how we look at the people in the bottom of the table,
Yes.
right? And winning 6 on the bounce is superb and like so remarkable. And I think they would be like really strong contenders, because I think out of the 4 teams who are qualified right now, they are the most
Most
confident
strongest,
at
yeah.
the moment,
Yeah.
right? In terms of
Also, something is like that if you go to the records and you see the winning streak that RCB has is same as what KKR has as well, because KKR has won their last few 6 matches. Sorry, last 4 matches, with one match being washed out completely, and the next match also I feel like they'll pretty much win it with Rajasthan. So looking from that perspective, I feel like RCB is the most strongest, because if you see the RCB fan base and if you see Kohli's reaction, it's almost the same, because their highs are very high and their lows are very low. And right now they are in almost in the highest position they are right now.
If you look at the 4 teams, the most unstoppable kind of attitude is there with RCB
Yeah.
right now. And I think, I mean, like, there are a lot of people who don't like RCB and there are people who love RCB, right?
Yes.
Love them or hate them, you have to admit that they are a good team. And like, they actually deserve to win a trophy, right?
Yeah.
As we mentioned earlier. And perhaps, and Kohli deserves a trophy, right? After playing so well. And
Yeah.
like, he deserves an ICC trophy as well, right?
Yeah.
So,
That's another topic for another.
right?
Yeah.
So, basically, after 2014, like, India hasn't got an IPC trophy, and
Yeah.
we have to talk about that in a separate video. So, RCB might be a good contender, but of course, I mean, like, again, going with logic, KKR, Rajasthan. Even Rajasthan is in a losing streak right now.
Yes.
Like, on paper, they are still a better team, and even Sunrisers. It's not
Yeah.
going to be easy for RCB, but whether they win or lose, I think this is going to be one of the most memorable comebacks,
Yeah.
right? And like, someday, like, we all can look back and say, like, we watch these matches live, right?
Yeah.
It's like it's one of the memories that you should have as a cricket fan. So let's see how. I mean, like, to discuss about like what went wrong or what went right. With them, like, nothing seems wrong with that team at the moment, because
Maybe the only impact that they had was Maxwell leaving,
Mm-hmm.
because Maxwell was one of those, just like Kohli,
Mm-hmm.
one of those very key players
Such
back.
an impact
Yeah,
player, right?
back when I remember back when even Gale left,
Mm-hmm.
how it impacted the team, and right now again when Maxwell left, how it impacted the team. But then again, they bounced back perfectly, and they bounced back to Sunrisers,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
They won the match with Sunrisers, and I feel like they have lost from the playoffs teams. They have lost consecutively only to Kolkata and Rajasthan.
Right.
So whomever they play in the playoffs,
Mm-hmm.
if it, like, that's going to be a point on to those two sides, because CSK already got the knock from them.
Right.
Sunrisers got the knock from them. So
Yes.
yeah.
Which brings us to CSK. Of course, like, they came pretty close today, but again, CSK had a very mixed season, to be honest, right? Like, in one day that they would be on a real high. They would win against like one of the strong teams, and then the next day, like, they would lose to Punjab.
Yep.
And like,
They have never had a proper winning streak or a
Yes.
losing streak.
Yes.
So
So if you look at them, they won 2, lost 2, won 2, lost 2, won 1, lost 1, won 1, lost 1, won 1, lost 1.
Yeah.
So exactly, consistency has been the problem. And today they even had a lower target. They just
Yeah.
had to score like 19 runs less, but still, they couldn't get to. I think. Do you think this is the last season for Dhoni?
No.
He'll be playing IPL like even
You have
65.
you have Jimmy Anderson, and then you have Dhoni.
Yes. Jimmy Anderson in Ashes, and of course he finally
Yeah,
announced
he
his, retirement,
announced this, but
right? So let's see. He will. A lot of things to look into in the next season, right?
Yeah.
The mega auction, whether Dhoni will be a part of it, whether Rohit will play for Mumbai again, right? So a lot of things to look forward to. Anyways, when it comes to CSK, I think what went wrong was the consistency, right? And it's just, it's CSK, right? Like,
you don't expect much.
much, yes.
But then again, you don't expect them to lose this bad.
Exactly. Right? for a good half of the tournament, it looked like the four teams were given.
Yeah.
It looked like KKR, Rajasthan, SRH, and
And
CSK
CSK.
were going away, and like basically other teams were just. And if you thought it was going to be another team, you thought it would be Lucknow or Delhi,
Yeah.
and like Punjab basically Punjab and Gujarat were in the bottom, and Bangalore came out of nowhere and took that last spot. And I think it's that they had a couple of good performances from Rashid Ravindra and
Yes.
on
Jadeja.
Jadeja, right? So they had a couple of good performances. Even Matisha
Yes.
played well for like that's good. And proud as a Sri Lankan to see that like
Yeah.
Sri Lanka's playing in IPL.
It's one of the, you can't say it's a balanced side, you can say it's a very strong side when it comes to how their team is structured and all these things.
Like, the thing is that on the day their plan works, it works so well.
Yeah.
And if it goes wrong pretty bad. Like they don't have a plan B. I think that's a problem with CSK, right? They don't have a plan B. They only have plan A, and they go ahead with that. If it works, it works. If it fails, it fails. They don't have a plan B, right? So, and I think, to be honest, what I feel like is CSK didn't really catch up with this year's evolution of IPL, because all of a sudden it became like such a high scoring
Yes.
thing, because CSK is very used to playing, in a very sentimental way, right?
Yeah, but then again, I don't think that stands for the batting power they have. They have Dhoni, they have Jadeja, they have Moeen Ali, they have Rachin. These are all proper power hitters. And they have Rahane. Again, people who can play, who have the strength to play, and also people who can play that anchor role as well.
Yes.
Right? So it's very concerning how they lose.
I was just looking at like CSK's previous scores, like so basically they've scored 201, and like unless they were chasing. So if they had batted first, they have scored 206, 205, 201, which means you see that is not necessarily a good not a good score anymore, right? Because now a good score is not 200. Now a good score is like
250
plus, right? And I don't think CSK really caught up with that trend. I think that's where it went wrong for CSK. This sort of reminds me what happened to Australia in the first few T20 World Cups. Because Australia used to be such a great side in 50-over games. Right? And they were so used to like building up a foundation and capitalizing the last few overs and scoring like 300 plus and winning a 50-over game. Just coming and wrecking from ball one, it didn't work for them. Like, the first T20 World Cup, they lost the semi-final. Second T20 World Cup, they were knocked out in the group stage, like lost to Sri Lanka and West Indies. It took some time for them to catch up with T20 cricket. Now, in T20 itself, it's a topic for another day, how this has become very batting
centric,
right? So, I think CSK was a little slow to catch up with that train, and I think that's what cost them that last playoff spot. Anyways, CSK, do they have to change anything in the next? I think the big question is Dhoni going? If Dhoni going, who's coming there?
I don't think Dhoni will go. It's that. But then again, I don't think even if Dhoni goes, I mean, yes, obviously you'll have this thing like we said about what happened when Maxwell left, Gale left for RCB. You will have that fact of Dhoni leaving. But then when you have players like Ravindra Jadeja, Rachin, and Rahane, Moeen Ali, I think these players are capable players. I don't see them having issues.
Dhoni plays in CSK. They have to figure a way out. Otherwise, it's going to be for like Gujarat when Pandya left.
Yeah.
Like you don't have someone to play that role, not just the player, right? That the personality and the person. Because for CSK, again, just like for RCB, Kohli, right? For CSK, like Dhoni has been there since 2008. Except for those 2 years they were banned, right? Dhoni played for Pune. So if Dhoni goes, I think that's going to be the bigger question. So we might see CSK coming like a completely different team. Because I believe if Dhoni goes, CSK will never be the same CSK that we know.
They lose that CSK identity.
And they'll come up as a different team. You remember how Deccan Chargers became Sunrisers Hyderabad,
Yes,
right?
yeah.
So it's going to be complete, because Delhi Daredevils, Delhi Capitals, just a name change. Kings 11 Punjab Kings name change, but Deccan Chargers, Sunrisers Hyderabad, also it was based on the same
team,
same city. Right?
Yeah.
it's a completely different franchise. So I think if Chennai Super Kings without Dhoni, without Tala, is going to be a very different. They'll have a different identity. That's the case, right? Anyways, we'll have to wait and see next year. So tough luck for CSK. To be honest, like it's on the fence. Can you say they deserve to be in the 50-50, right?
Yeah,
They have
50-50.
their moments. On the days they win, they look like a really good team.
Yeah.
But like sometimes they.
It's another thing like RCB where if it works out,
Yes.
everyone's happy.
Yes.
But if it doesn't,
Exactly.
no.
Exactly. No, I think both those teams are kind of like similar in terms of like results.
Yeah.
But RCB won 6 on the trot, so we feel like they are a better team. CSK had that mixed result and like they couldn't make it. They narrowly missed out. So because of that, I think we feel like they are a bad team. Like because we have such a negative vibe talking about CSK. We have such a positive vibe talking about RCB. Right? That's not the case.
Yeah.
For a good half of the tournament, CSK was a much better team than
Yes, than RCB,
right?
yeah.
So cricket is a funny game.
You never know till the end.
Yes, so sometimes there's a deception in like how teams appear because you see right now you feel like Rajasthan is a bad team. They're not, right?
Yeah.
So it's just the way it's a momentum, the way the pendulum swings and all that. So let's see how it goes for CSK in the next season. With that, we are moving on to the top 3. Then we have to talk about Sunrisers.
Yes.
Right. So now, of course, at the moment, by the time we are recording this, Sunrisers still have one more game to go.
Yeah.
Right. So Sunrisers are ranked 3rd at the moment.
Yes.
But if they win their last game and Rajasthan lose their final game, they might get a top 2 finish. And I think they deserve it because they played so well.
I think Sunrisers will win because they
most probably yes.
they have the match with Punjab.
But the thing is like the Rajasthan has to lose.
Rajasthan
wins their final game, but they're playing KKR.
Yeah, that's
Right.
a bit of a
That's
KKR and Rajasthan. Yeah.
So basically, if Rajasthan, we have to talk about them separately,
Yes.
right? So if Sunrisers manage to win and Rajasthan lose their final game, they'll get a top 2 finish, right?
Yeah.
And they are quite dangerous because you see Travis Head and Abhishek Sharma. There's like the proper fireworks. To be honest, Denuka, these two reminds me of Gilchrist and Hayden.
Right.
You know that fierce, like that fear factor for the
Sure.
opening bowlers, like the 2 openers who come and like completely get you out of the game, right? So I think in one of those games against Delhi they scored 125 in the power play, right? But
This again gives us for our next video which is coming up.
Like, of course, like is it really worth it?
Yeah.
You see, that day, this brings us to our next point. But is Sunrisers invincible? Not at all, because they have like really big loopholes. One of the issues is that their middle order isn't really firing, because you see they scored 125 in the power play, which means they could have easily passed 300 that day. They couldn't because the middle order is not really firing, right?
Also, for me, correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like Pat Cummins is who's the one who is driving the bowling side.
Exactly.
Right, because he's very like his own individual performance is what's drawing the bowling side of Sunrisers, regardless of it being a team effort. That's not something that we need to talk about. Even though Bhuvaneshwar is there, I don't see Bhuvaneshwar being much more like being impactful like Pat Cummins is.
Exactly, right? So basically the rest of the bowling in Sunrisers isn't that great, because you see Sunrisers renewed their record for the highest total twice in this season, but both those games they won by like 20 runs, 30 runs, right? I think they won by 25 runs and 31 runs, because like they might score 270 but they will concede 230, 240 because their bowling isn't that great. And that's going to be a concern, because you can't win a tournament just with the bat, right? So if they make it to the playoffs, they'll have to watch out for that. But I don't think they have any in the next year. I think they have to figure out their bowling, because like batting is fine. Travis Head and Abhishek Sharma, they're like really firing it. But the middle order and the bowling is a bit of the concern they have. So we are moving on to the top 2 then. Rajasthan Royals. This is what you call a roller coaster, right? Like it goes up and then it comes down.
Right.
They had 4 wins on the trot, then just lost one game.
Yeah.
That
And another
again-
4 wins.
And then 4 wins in the trot. So at that time, they had won 8 out of 9. And for like 3/4 of the tournament,
They were in the top.
They were in the top spot. It looked like they are going to be qualified first, and the other teams were fighting for the remaining 3 spots. And 4 losses on the trot, right?
And the worst thing is that they lost during that run to the worst team at that time.
Basically, like that one loss they had in the middle was for
Gujarat.
Gujarat, right? And then they lost one game against Sunrisers by 1 run. That's where everything turned. That's where the tide turned. They lost 1 game against Sunrisers because of Pat Cummins, and then they lost 3 on the trot. 1 against Delhi, 1 against Chennai. That's understandable. 1 against Punjab. Right? So
they've lost to like the bottom
but
three.
yeah, basically, like it's quite shocking.
And I feel like even KKR, they might take a loss there.
Yeah, so
They might.
They might, right? So it's more likely. You have to call it for KKR. I mean, Rajasthan can turn it around, right? But of course, KKR is the favorite for this game, right?
Yes.
So I mean, they'll have to turn it, because like if they lose this game, they are losing the top 2 spots as well, which means they have to play the eliminator. Of course, like you want to end on the top 2, because then you have the playoff system that you need that double chance, you need that extra chance to make it to the final. And of course, then except for 2016 Hyderabad, it has always been one of the teams who are ranked in the top 2 who has won the trophy. The only time Hyderabad getting it in 2016.
Right, yeah.
Right, so it's really important to get to that point.
And finally we have the
mighty KKR, right? So I mean, like it's that one of those seasons that things have been going really well. KKR has been doing so well that they've only lost 3 games, right? And they've lost those in like regular intervals, of course, but
the worst loss I think was to Punjab.
They lost by 8 wickets that game. That was shocking, because KKR still batted first and they scored 261.
Exactly.
And that was chased down by Punjab in a very shocking twist. But I think it's safe to say that KKR is the favourites to win the trophy at the rate they are going, but you never know how playoffs would play out. But I think the only hiccup they have is losing Phil Salt.
Yes.
Right? And the other thing is, sending Narayan up top is basically it's a gamble, right? It can work out or it might not. So if it works out in the playoffs and in the final, and if that works out, there's no way you stop KKR, right?
Exactly, yeah.
Because you get like 70, 80 runs off a bowler with all the other batters left, and that's basically the game over for the other team, right? So that's how KKR we would call KKR as the favourites because of that.
Gambhir's master plan.
Yes, right. So Gambhir, when he played for KKR, he got them 2 trophies.
Yes.
So actually, Gambhir is the 3rd most successful IPL captain, behind Dhoni and Rohit, right? Because they are the only team who have 2 trophies.
Yes.
Mumbai has 5. Chennai has 5.
Maybe 1 pending.
Maybe 1 pending. You never know, right? So let's just have a friendly bet. What do you think? Who do you call it for?
KKR.
Right. My gut feeling says Sunrisers. I just have a feeling because it's Pat Cummins, man. Whatever he touches turns into goal for some reason. Who thought they would win the World Cup? Right.
That's come on, that's the Australian side. Okay, that's a whole other different story, a different platform.
Yeah, I will say logic says it's KKR, no doubt about it.
Yeah.
But either the gut feeling, the hunch you have, it sort of says that Sunrisers. Because I feel like Rajasthan it's going to be very difficult to turn like a 4-loss streak around walking into playoffs.
Unless they beat KKR.
Yes, unless
they beat KKR.
Yes. So if they lose that, I think it's going to be very difficult for them to make a comeback. if they do, it's going to be quite remarkable.
I
We
feel
should make a
if-
video about that.
If Rajasthan wins against KKR, I feel like Rajasthan will lift the trophy.
So, I mean, like they have Sangakkar and Malinga in the coaching staff, right?
And I mean, it's going to be a huge drop for KKR, especially being
Which
like,
is why I think they don't want to play. Because say that if KKR loses that match, they'll have to play Rajasthan again in the first qualifier, which they don't want to do in a few days' time, right? So I think they'd make sure that, and you don't want to lose the winning momentum. That's the
of
point,
course,
right?
yeah.
So that's how it's going to go. So anyways, we'll see how the playoffs play out, and we are planning on doing another review for playoffs as well once the season is over completely. And looking forward to the mega auction, and I want to see how things are going to go. And there are topics about like IPL matches being number being increased to 84 matches, right? Yes. And the impact is going to have. We did a couple of videos about like leagues, how leagues
the league
and
system of cricket and football,
how it should be balanced and all of that. So you guys can check it out. You can subscribe to our channel. Once again, to remind you guys, we are not like experts. We are not like former cricketers. These purely fan talk, right? So this is just like, just talking just like y'all, just like you guys. We are also random cricket fans. So Cricket Hedgehogs is the platform for the random cricket fans to yap about cricket. Right. So please let us know in the comment section what do you think. What do you think each team should do? We would love to know your views, your opinions, and let us know if you have any other ideas for us to do more videos. And you guys can follow us on our socials, Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook. And we'll see you in another video. Like and subscribe.